Hi, my name's Kate Flanders and I'm the Assistant General Secretary of the QPSU. It's my pleasure today, as part of this annual general meeting, to give you a report on what we achieved as part of the collective bargaining campaign in 2009 for the CORE, or the State Government Department's Certified Agreement. There were many great wins for workers during 2009, and Vivian has mentioned a few of those already in her report to you this morning, and I wanted to extrapolate a little bit on that in talking about what we did as part of CORE B 2009. It was really important that members and delegates got together early in the year to have meetings in their workplaces, and what we called the CORE B kick-off campaign, and that part of the campaign meant that members and delegates met to discuss what they wanted out of this agreement. We reflected on the wins of the wage balance campaign in 2008. That achievement in securing a 4.5%, a 4% and a 4% outcome from the wage balance campaign, wage balance it's only fair, meant that we had that guarantee going into negotiations, but we also had to consider what else members wanted and how the government would cost those things. It was really, really good that delegates were able to have this information before we all met together in March at our CORE B delegates conference, where council delegates and others met to vote on what were the priority issues for members going into the bargaining round in 2009. We were able to do this as well because we reformed the process of voting on the local claims from previous CORE B years and made it really, really democratic and a really great structure for delegates to participate in. What was fantastic about this conference was that members got to vote and then pass their views on to their delegates, and the delegates then on the day endorsed a lot of claims that was ready to go to management and negotiate. There were some fantastic outcomes that were achieved as a result of the collective bargaining campaign, but it was also important that during March we maintained the political activity that we did in the Fight for Jobs campaign, some of which Vivian reflected on, and it was important that we put to politicians as part of the Fight for Jobs campaign what you thought and what the politicians were going to say if they were asked if they would commit to the 4.5%, the 4% and the 4% for members going forward in the next 3 years. One of the really great initiatives that happened in 2009 was the formation of the CORE B Oversight Committee, and I'd like, as part of this annual general meeting, to once again record my thanks to that committee, whom I chaired, who did a great job in overseeing the work of the negotiating team during the CORE B negotiations. What was really great was that we had delegates who represented each agency or each group of agencies on that oversight committee, and they were there every step of the way giving guidance to our negotiating team in Alex, Vivian and Danielle Cohen, and they were able to collect information from members and pass that on to direct to Dan, Alex and Vivian every 2 weeks, and they did a fantastic job. So thank you once again to the delegates who participated as part of the CORE B Oversight Committee. Another really important part of the campaign was obviously direct member action. Some of the two of the groups that took a lot of action during the campaign were the workers in communities, and our Standing Up for Queensland Communities actions towards the end of the process, the bargaining process, were vital in securing important workload claims for the whole of the CORE, and particular workload claims as part of the interest-based bargaining process for workers in communities. There were some fantastic days of action, and it was really great to see that delegates got into the media and also had their photos taken and took a day that they said, we care for the community and the community should care about our outcomes and our workload. Another group that got together and did some really exciting actions were members in schools. And school workers who formed two different interest-based bargaining groups, the blue collar and the white collar groups, took some great action as part of the Schools Don't Run Themselves campaign and secured some really important outcomes for permanency of employment for AEPs in schools, and also for a relook at the classification structure for schools officers, unit support officers and voting officers in schools. Those were really fantastic outcomes, and well done to all those members and to all the members across the CORE who participated every step of the way in the CORE B and secured the 4.5%, the 4% and the 4%, and also many other important outcomes. I want to take a moment now just to talk about some of the other important outcomes that were secured as part of the collective bargaining campaign in 2009. A really important area that was up for discussion was employment security. And as we saw with the asset sales announced last year and what the challenges that we'll face this year in 2010 and 2011, with a state budgeting crisis, it was essential that we secured no forced redundancies and more protections for temporary workers. So that employment security claim, which was hard fought and hard negotiated, was very, very good. It was also important that we looked at many of the work-life balance initiatives. Most members said that they know that there were work-life balance policies available in their departments, but they were having trouble accessing them. So it was a really important security in the, as part of the collective bargaining process, that we could then say, these are the sorts of policies that the department has, and this is how you can implement it. And it needs to be negotiated fairly with those workers. So that was also a great win. Another area and another campaign group that did really well was our members in call centres. And the campaign for Call Centre Connect meant that workers secured an outcome as part of the Core EB, saying that they would review the call centre's code of practice and really look at safety standards and the key stresses for workers in call centres. And that was a fantastic outcome that was secured as part of the agreement. Another area that was really, really helpful and that we want to make more of this year were our climate change claims. So the departments now have to consult with delegates and workers about initiatives that will lower the carbon footprint of the Queensland Government as an employer, and also support workers in undertaking carbon neutral activities at work. And they will be part of our consultative committee agenda this year. So that's a really fantastic claim, and well done to all of the union climate connectors and climate heroes out there who campaigned hard for those outcomes. Another important change, and something that will come up in 2010, but reflecting on in 2009, were changes to the hours of work arrangements proposed under the Core EB. This will particularly affect members in the CBD, and this is where the government has proposed that they want to expand the spread of hours, but in return we're asking for a review of hours of work policies and making sure you can access your full days off and secure those better entitlements that we're looking for in an award review, and making sure that you can take the time that you accrue and you're not working for free, because it's really important that you get those hours back to spend with your family or doing the things that you love, because you work really hard and you deserve that. Overall, the collective bargaining agreement in 2009 was a great outcome. It secured the highest wage rise we've ever seen for the State Government Department Certified Agreement. It addressed some of our workload concerns and importantly continued to protect employment security. We certainly didn't get everything we wanted, but it was a great step forward, and it was thanks to the thousands of members who stood together as part of that collective agreement bargaining process and campaigned hard for what you wanted and what you needed. And it's really important that we continue to implement this EB and make sure that we know our rights and continue to work with delegates and the consultative committees and in every other forum to enforce the agreement and the great outcomes that you secured. I'd like to once again thank the Core EB Oversight Committee and all the delegates who were involved in the campaign for such a fantastic job. It was great to see. And it's also really important that we keep supporting those delegates who are taking on consultative committee roles this year and the implementation roles. So thank you very much for that. Thanks very much for listening to me today in this report to the annual general meeting for the QPSU in 2010, reflecting on the year in 2009. Have a great day.